lot of them.
What's the balance between love and duty for you in a relationship?
Can you expand the question a little bit for me?
Yeah. Would you ever stay in a marriage are you more likely to, not more likely, what percentage of a marriage, let's say, for you would be the duty you have to the marriage and the promise you made, and then is based on how much you love that person? It's a big question to me.
It's a big question. It's a big question. And I like the question. I'm a real lover girl, me. I'm a Taurus. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. And even the most basic knowledge of astrology, everyone knows that Venus is the planet of love, right? Like Venus and Mars are a couple, yeah? And Venus is the planet that rules like all things like romance, beauty, love. Like Taurus is a real, like, they're like down for the ride. They're known as the ride or die sign, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I really am like that. And so for me personally, in the past, I've stayed in relationships much longer than perhaps I should have. But if I'm committed to you, I'm committed to you. I'll give everything. Especially if there's children. If we've built an empire together, you know, yeah. But I have some hard no's.
Even if you fall out in love with them?
Listen, I think that we have unrealistic expectations.
I agree.
So what I would say about falling in and out of love, this is what I observe. I love this stuff. Yeah, I have a brain that is so curious. I really love to understand why humans do what they do. I'm always researching, watching, constantly. Big facts. Constantly.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even things like I'll watch a movie or I'll watch Sex and the City and I'm analysing that. So, you know, so I'm watching Sex and the City today and I'm analysing. I'm like, oh no, that's just your attachment style. You're just not there yet because we haven't caught up to that part of psychology in the 90s or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And so what I observe in couples that are together for a long time, when I say a long time, I'm saying in excess of 10 years, yeah?
Yes.
It's cyclical. Relationships are cyclical, and it doesn't matter if they're same-sex or heterosexual. In fact, studies will actually show you that same-sex relationships overall tend to be happier than heterosexual relationships.
Yeah. Can you explain what cyclical means?
Cyclical. So in cycles. So if we think about, okay, a woman's cycle is a really good way to explain it because it actually sets the precedent. It's kind of like a blueprint for the earth and like humanity. So if you think about the woman's first day of her bleed, she'll feel sluggish, and she'll feel maybe very hormonal, very emotional, maybe slightly more irritable, etc. And then as she moves through that and then gets to the place where she's ovulating again, she's going to be like happy, full of energy, can get loads of stuff done, excitable, you know. That's a cycle. If you think about the seasons, winter, spring, summer, autumn, it's a cycle, yeah? Relationships are cyclical like everything else. Just like hurricane season that we're in now, cyclical. Everything on the planet is cyclical. You want to learn how to trade? Look at the cycles, look at the patterns. Everything has a pattern, an energetic pattern to it. And what happens in relationships, when you really pay attention to them, is that couples move through moments where they kind of like come together and they're super like in love and can't get enough of each other. And then naturally there'll be a moment where you irritate each other and you're like, oh, I need some space. And then you come back together and and these cycles are miniature in the relationship, or maybe like a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis or a monthly basis or a 6-monthly basis, depending upon the couple.
Right.
But then there are bigger cycles to that as well as a long-term relationship. And so the idea, let's just say, okay, my grandparents, for example, they're married 52 years. It would be stupid and naive and ignorant, and I say this with love, to think that if you're married to someone for 52 years, that they're never, like, everyone got eyes, to think they're never going to be attracted to somebody else, to think they're going to love you 110% all day, every day.
No.
Can you offer that to somebody else? I can't, and I'm one of the most loving people I know. You know, and it's just
I'm one of the most loving people I know.
No,
and I can't do it.
No, I am. Like, I'm soppy, you know, like I'm
Yes.
so, it's like I'm designed like it. I've always been like that, you know, like I love to love, like I love, like I love to nurture. I love to take care of people. I enjoy it. It's not a chore for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. Like, it's like, I enjoy studying people and working out how I can love them better. That's genuinely how I am. Like, that makes me happy. And so I think that we have this unrealistic expectation, like your partner can't do everything for you. And we spoke about this last time on how like you need to have like other things in your life. You have to have good friends. You have to have a relationship with maybe your family if you're lucky enough to have a good family. Maybe you're not. Maybe you've chosen your family because through your friends or business partners or whatever. And you need to first of all be really good at taking care of yourself. And also knowing that, like, so let's say, for example, you're in a really good, healthy, strong relationship. You've got great connection. And let's say you come home from work one day and you really need to vent to your partner, you really need to cuddle and you really need that undivided attention. But when you walk through the door, maybe they work from home and they're really stressed and they're in the midst of like dealing with some mad, crazy, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And they're just like back and forth on the phone and they've got no capacity for you whatsoever. If you are the sort of person that's going to take that personally, I can promise you now, you're not going to have a long-term relationship because it's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic in what you're expecting from another human being and their own capacity. So like I've got a couple of friends that I speak to like all the time, like every day. And let's say I know that I've vented to them like the day before and then I need to vent again. I'll be like, if you've got capacity, I'll say, like, if you've got capacity, can I vent? I'll ask.
Yes.
Because it would be unreasonable of me to expect them to listen to my bullshit every day.
Yeah.
They've got their own bullshit to deal with, you know? And not everybody's voicing it, you know? Like sometimes someone's got a lot going on in their head. They might not be saying it out loud to anybody. And so I think that we have these unrealistic expectations of what we're going to experience in a relationship. You know, I actually saw this video on Instagram today. It was quite interesting. And I liked it because I thought he's saying some stuff that's going to trigger a few people.
Go on.
I like it. It was this, based upon his appearance, I would say like a middle-aged white guy. And he goes on this sort of like, I won't call it a rant, but like a direct speech. He's making some points. And he says that he starts with this very short clip of this woman. Basically, she says words to the effect of, why would I help a man learn to stand on his own 2 feet or build him to stand on his own 2 feet when there's already men standing? I take her point. I hear her perspective. And this guy then responds to it and he says, and she's relatively young. Like she's got to be in her late 20s, early 30s, I'd guess. And he's significantly older than her. And he basically says, as a man that's standing on his 2 feet, comfortably, made a lot of money, why would I want someone that wants a free ride? Right? And so this is what I mean. I think we've moved. I mean, I see her argument and I see his. And I think there's a lot to be said for both perspectives.
True.
And also, you know, this is a short reel on Instagram, right? So it's designed to be like this, isn't it? To be provocative.
Yes.
And you're taking what she said out of context. For all we know, she could have spoken for 30 minutes about her thought process and how she came to this conclusion. We don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, so I think that there's a lot of focus on what we're looking for from another person and our expectations and our standards. I definitely have that. But I also really diligently work on what I have to offer. And I think there's something that goes for being overlooked where it's really good to know what you want, but it's also really important to know what you've got to offer. Because all relationships are an exchange of energy, every single one. Like you say, humans are self-serving. We're designed that way.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the most selfless experience we probably ever get to be, or the opportunity we get to have of being selfless is being a parent, right?
Very true.
And it teaches you a lot. And I feel like the human cycle of life, like the cyclical nature of human life is you're born and in theory, you're supposed to be cared for if you're born to good people, yeah? If you're lucky enough. And then those people take care of you and therefore teach you how to take care of yourself. They teach you how to feed yourself. They teach you how to tie up your shoelaces. They teach you how to read a book, etc. You get the gist.
Yeah.
And then if you learn that well, if you've been lucky enough to have good teachers, which will only come from people that have learned to take good care of themselves. So if you're born to someone that is an alcoholic, an addict, or depressed, or undiagnosed mental health disorders, etc., you're not going to get the best education. Because your parents can't take care of themselves, unfortunately. Yeah. And that could be for multiple reasons. Abuse, neglect, put through the system, whatever. Like we said, like patterns repeat. Yeah?
Yep.
This is what I was saying earlier about like the feminine, like the trauma, it gets passed down. For the men too, yeah? It's not, it's, you know, I'm not saying that women are more traumatized than men. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think we carry a lot of pain and I think we're focused on our pain and we need to be supporting each other through it more. I think we need more education on how to deal with pain. Call me. I'll help you.
She's here. She's here.
And when we evolve as human beings and we learn to take care of ourselves, if you're really good at taking care of yourself and nourishing yourself, you will attract a partner that's good at taking care of themselves and nourishing themselves. And therefore you'll come together and want to nourish and take care of one another.
Yes.
Right?
And that's the most beautiful thing. Do you think more people are choosing partners out of pain today than say 40 years ago?
Hard to say. I wasn't alive 40 years ago.
But you're well educated.
So listen, I think we've always done that. I think humans always choose everything out of pain. Why do we still go to look at the state of the world? Don't get me wrong. I'm a professional silver liner picker-outerer. That's literally what I teach people to pick out. Yeah, like I will. You can literally show me the worst situation on the planet, and I will still find silver linings for you.
Yes,
I'm really someone that prides themselves on learning to change the narrative and rewrite the story. I'm always offering a new perspective, and I like to do that because what is reality? Huh? Sky's pink, blue, purple. Is it red?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's whatever you see it to be, and I think that. Yeah, we can say that people make a lot of choices out of pain because if you look at the world and you take a step back, despite all the beauty and all the amazingness that's on the planet, right? And I love to focus on that. I don't want to sound morbid or pessimistic, but if you take a step back and you zoom out a bit, you see those memes on Instagram where it's like the aliens look at humanity and they think, what the fuck are they doing to each other?
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with the aliens.
Because
to me, the world looks like it's in pain because listen, this is what it is in quantum physics, spirituality, anything. Anytime you want to respond to anybody, assuming they're not like trying to kill you, yeah? I'm talking about just regular movements in the world, like arguments and stuff. I'm not talking about someone like breaking in and holding you at gunpoint. But generally speaking, in normal day-to-day life, anytime you feel the need to respond to somebody with anything but love, you are out of alignment with yourself. And so if we could always work on, if in the moment you can ask yourself, what would the most educated, most loving version of me do in this moment, and then choose to do what they would do,
you become that person.
Yeah. But also more than that is that, you're asking, are we making choices out of pain? Obviously. Like when someone like doesn't text you back or they don't invite you to something or whatever, like things that upset human beings, people are like, well, I'm not going to be their friend anymore, or I'm not going to do this for them, or like you say, it's transactional. And it's like, well, of course that's a reaction out of pain. Now that doesn't always mean it's the wrong thing to do because sometimes it's self-preserving and self-protecting.
Yeah.
But the point is it's coming from a place of wounded ego. It's not coming from a place of rational thinking of that person's showing me that that's where they're at. And I know that my energy is valuable. And as much as I love them, I think I need to hold them at arm's length because they're not giving me an energy that is conducive to me right now. That's coming from a place of self-love and empathy and compassion. Do you see the difference?
I 100%, I completely hear you for sure. We said earlier that nothing is static, right?
Nothing, ever.
Which means everything is always changing. And I think part of the reason why, like you said, you look back at the world, like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff is happening is because one, the world is always changing, right? We're always changing. The society's always changing. The universe is always changing. But negative energy is more of a catalyst for change than positive. Now, you can make the right decision through pain, but we are more likely to take action because of pain than because of joy.
I agree.
And so, and I guess I'm asking the question, and not specifically to you, but just in general, if we know that the biggest catalyst for change is negative energy, negative emotions, right? And everything is always changing. Maybe choosing from pain isn't what's wrong, but what we're choosing is wrong. Because maybe we can't choose from joy, but joy isn't people change when they go, enough is enough. That's when change happens. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I've suffered enough that this cannot go on anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Right? 100% right.
And that is the pain, is I have enough pain that I can't have any more. I'm changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pain is negative emotions, negative energy is the catalyst for change. And if we know that everything is always changing, then it almost makes sense that as this sounds pessimistic, but if we do look back and we do see that things are always changing, that it does come from a place of pain, but maybe the change is wrong, not that it's coming from a place of pain that's wrong.
I agree.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's so much value in pain.
Yeah.
So much value in feeling the pain. Hence why I do what I do. So, okay, so let's take it back to quantum physics. There's no such thing as a negative, good, bad. There's no such thing. There's just experience and what you choose to put on it as a label, as your experience.
Yes.
The universe is a big ball of feminine energy that's birthing new stuff all the time. And she's always seeking equilibrium. So you know the yin yang symbol where you've got the white and the black and the white dot and the black. Yeah. Just, you know, so it's constantly chasing each other. So if you think about a pendulum, and if you've got the 4 silver balls and you pull one out to the side, it's going to hit the one on the other end almost exactly to the same depth, the other side, until it eventually stops and you've hit equilibrium because it's still. Yeah.
Yes.
But nothing could be stagnant, so you start again.
Yes.
And this is what's always happening in the universe, right? And right now, I think, you know, even if you're not a particularly like spiritual or energy focused human being, or you're like not as far down the path of exploring that type of consciousness yet, just being a human, you can kind of sense in the air that things are like quite intense right now and have been since sort of like the pandemic kind of time. And like astrologically, that's going to continue till sort of like 2030, 32. Like 2030 will make 2020 look like a walk in the park, let me tell you that. I think that when we need to experience what we don't like to know what we do like. We need to experience the dark to know where the light is.
Yeah,
right?
You can't have light.
You can't have light and rainbows and butterflies all day, every day. It's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And if it was, we wouldn't appreciate it.
Exactly.
So, you know, I think the problem, you know, I want to go back to something that we touched on earlier about, do we not need each other anymore? I actually think it's deeper than that. I think that, yeah, there's an element of like, you know, women don't need men so much anymore because we can pay our own bills as one of the points. But I think that it's actually avoidance of discomfort, if you ask me, because we live in a society where everything's comfortable. Like you want food, you can order it, comes to your door, someone else has made it for you, you've got no mess, chuck it in the bin, and then someone picks up your bins and you don't get to have to deal with the ugliness of things like the landfill.
Yes.
Right? Like everything is done for us, you know, like we're actually quite spoiled nowadays. I think about like my grandma, she had to go and like she had 3 children and my grandfather, and she would go and take all of their washing and wash all of the clothes, all of the bed sheets by hand at the public washing baths.
Yeah.
That is hard work.
We have lost the ability to consistently engage in discomfort for a long-term goal.
Yeah, I agree. And so this is, I think, one of the things we spoke about before. Like, I think people seek too much comfort. So it's like people aren't willing to go through the struggle in relationships. The reality is that if you want a long-term commitment with another human being, what I can tell you about all human beings is this: we're all incredibly flawed. None of us are perfect.
Yeah.
And what I can also tell about human beings is people that do active work on themselves will be much easier to be with. And people that don't are going to have some challenges on your hands. And if you're one of those people that doesn't do active work on improving yourself and reviewing yourself, and you can't take constructive criticism and feedback, you're going to find it hard to have healthy relationships. And your kids are going to find it hard. And you're going to have more difficult relationships with everybody that you're in contact with, because they have to deal with your bullshit because you're not willing to look at it. And so you want to be with someone that is willing to look at their bullshit. And you have to also set that example. Now, on top of that, if you want to have a long-term relationship, what I can promise you is this, yeah? And everyone's like, I'm scared to get hurt. Well, pain is guaranteed in life, yeah?
Guaranteed.
If you are already missing out on so much joy in your life by saying, I'm scared of getting hurt, come spend some time with me, talk to me, I'll fix you up. But the reality is that until you're comfortable leaning into your pain, whether it be emotional, physical, or otherwise, you're going to find that you're actually creating more pain in your life and your children's lives. Let me tell you that, because you pass it on. And it's, you know, people can debate that with me all you want. It's proven. And it's like, if, you know, so what you were saying earlier about people die for their children, don't die for your children, live for your children, confront your demons for your children. Don't die for your children. You don't need to.
Yeah.
We live blessed here. I mean,
Big
maybe
facts.
in some parts of the world, which is sad, but
no, that's so true.
it's, you know, the one thing you're going to need is an ingredient, an active ingredient in your relationship. If you want a long-term, long-lasting commitment where you can build some amazing stuff with somebody, you need to be really good at forgiving and letting go. Let me tell you that.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.